Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Bricks and Clicks. I'm your host, Ashlee Billings. Today, I wanted to discuss a third party platform called Teikametrics. Teikametrics helps with all things ads with inside Amazon, and they just recently launched working with Walmart ads, which is super exciting. As you all know, ads within Amazon and inside Walmart can be super tricky. You need to be bidding all the time, and you also need to have control over the bids that go in and your budget and all the things. And that's where Tika comes in to help. Um, Without further delay, let's go ahead and jump in and get started. I have a great host who's worked with Teikametrics for 2.5 years. Let's introduce Jake Wilk. Jake, how are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Doing good. It's beautiful
Good.
here today. It's like 76.
There you
So we're
go.
gonna enjoy this weather before it gets cold again. Arkansas.
We cracked 60 degrees in Michigan today, so that's cause for celebration up here. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, super cold up north. So what can you tell us about Tika Metrics and maybe how you got started with Tika and how that all went down?
No doubt. Yeah. So I've actually been connected to Teikametrics for the last almost 5 years. Actually, it is 5 years as of this past Prosper show. So back in 2018, I was working for an agency that was a buy sell brand partner agency. We worked directly with brands, had exclusive access to SKUs that we would sell on their behalf, but then we would also manage the channel for them. I came into a role where I was overseeing all of the advertising exposure, and we're talking 25 brands, 5,000 SKUs, lots of ad spend at risk every day. And I don't know, as a pretty self-aware individual, and I had a pretty strong digital advertising background prior to coming into this world. I was quickly learning Amazon and e-commerce as a new employee at this agency. I realized that the control I needed to manage the bids across that exposure, like I said, 25 brands, 5,000 SKUs, like it's just, there's too much money at risk to let me sleep soundly at night. And so when I went to Prosper 2018, I was actively pursuing ad optimization platforms. We had already sampled a couple in-house, and so I was kind of trying to make the best decision for our business and also for my workflow as a professional that was also managing a team and managing client relationships. I needed to be able to rest assured that my advertising strategy was on point. At that same time, I was actively being courted by a variety of companies, one of which was Teikametrics. And I pride myself as being a pretty smart guy, but I needed something smarter than me to be at the control of all of this, millions of dollars of ad spend annually that we were exposing, right? And so I chose Teikametrics as a customer because I felt that the bid strategy, the bidding algorithm that optimizes the ads, was not relying on me to control the direction it heads, but rather I was able to instruct the bidding algorithm of where I wanted to be, and the bidding algorithm would help get me there, right? And so I thought that was a really revolutionary idea 5 years ago, in the sense that a lot of the bid optimization platforms that I was interacting with were very rules-based and very relying on me to pull all the levers to make the adjustments, and was more of an aggregator of the data rather than actually doing something with intelligence to improve the overall output. And so I chose Teikametrics as a customer because of all of those reasons. And I saw some tremendous gains almost immediately. As soon as we turned on the Teikametrics bidding or advertising bidding algorithm, we saw really efficient trends start to develop. Being a reseller at the time, we had very tight margins, so we couldn't afford to advertise with a blank check. And so because we made all of our revenue back on the sale of the product, we were very ACOS and tacos focused. And so I felt that the immediate impact by giving some steady instruction of where I wanted the ads to go, implementing Teikametrics, saw some immediate gains in both profitability as well as certain key SKUs that we were trying to promote, saw some tremendous growth and rank gain as a result as well, which was fantastic. And so unfortunately, as we all lived, COVID happened. That business that I was working for, unfortunately, didn't survive that shutdown. We were a bit overexposed in some categories in some areas that were not essential items when fulfillment kind of changed in 2020. And the ownership decided to kind of pivot and go in some different ventures. And so unfortunately, the operation we were running ceased to exist. And when I reached out to Teikametrics as a customer to say, hey, we're going to be canceling our account because, the business is going under, the team was like, you know a lot about our software, you should work here. And so that was one of the first conversations I had post COVID shut down about possibly switching employment. And then later on in 2020, I had an opportunity to join the Teikametrics team. So I've been in a few different roles since I joined in 2020, but the first role was on our managed services division. So I supported a set of our audience where we were the advertising concierge for our brands that came direct to us. And so we would support them almost as though we were an agency for them, using our software and other industry best practices to manage ads. That's still a core aspect of our business. But since then, I've pivoted into a more product focused role. So I'm now the director of our product operations department. What that means is everything that funnels underneath me is most related to our self-service customer business, which is where I got my start. I was a self-service customer leveraging Teikametrics back in 2018. So I feel really true to my experience in the role that I'm in now. So whether it's you chatting in support to our chat support team that funnels up to me, as well as our agency support, we do have an agency program where we support several agency partners that funnels under our self-service customer experience, but basically anything touching the self-service product and self-service customer experience reports into my team now. And yeah, we're really excited about the way forward and just a lot of the innovation that we've invested in over the years, as well as things that are scheduled to release here in 2023, stretching a little bit beyond just the marketplace advertising optimization, and really finding interconnected components to advertising on those marketplaces to inform the whole business is some of the direction that we're headed. And we're really excited to kind of unveil some of those key components here in the coming months.
Oh, that is so exciting. Yeah. I know that when we first started as a company using Teikametrics, I think you call it Teikametrics, don't you?
Yeah, everybody calls it something slightly different. My answer to that is there's no wrong pronunciation, even though I think there is a proper pronunciation. I think it is Teikametrics. However, I would say, having gone to several industry conferences and shows and things like that, at least a third, if not 40% of the people still call it Teikametrics, which is, we don't shun that pronunciation.
Okay, I will try to do better. It's like that sauce, that Worcestershire sauce or whatever that
Oh
everybody.
gosh, yeah, don't even start. Yeah, no thanks.
Let's not even try that one.
No.
But yes, when we first started using Teikametrics as a company for our clients, it was mostly on the bidding because we were trying to manually bid all day, every day for every client that we had. And that was like, we can't sleep at night. There's no way, we don't feel like we're being aggressive enough, and you don't know how, and the system does. And that's where I feel like Teikametrics helps, is because it's like, okay, we need to be a little more aggressive here to win the sale. Let's just add a little bit more percent in there and we'll be fine.
Exactly right. Yeah. And that's the way our system operates. It's artificial intelligence with human instruction, right? I think we're not at a point where we can remove all of the context of what needs to go into an advertising strategy and turn it over to artificial intelligence, but it's leveraging the data side of artificial intelligence to use the trends, the real-time click data, conversion data, all of those things that we're churning through our data engine with your human instruction of saying, hey, we need to be a bit more aggressive here. We need to be a little bit more lean here and focus on profitability. Making those micro adjustments informs those big picture results. And so that's the perfect kind of description of what how our system works. Is you have this really intelligent brain making data driven judgments for your bidding strategy, while being steered by the human that knows the strategy the best. And in this case, it's either the brand owner or the marketing director, whomever is overseeing, the advertising strategy for the business. I liken the analogy almost to that of like sailing. I've never sailed, but I like the analogy because you could throw up a sail and just go wherever the wind blows you, but without someone steering the ship and choosing the position of the sail to catch the wind just right, is what's necessary. And in this case, the wind and the power of the sea is the artificial intelligence, and it's the marketplace, it's the demand, it's all of those things. But you still need a captain on the ship steering the direction that you're heading, right? And that's where I think it's super powerful to have that human in the loop mixed with, the extremely powerful data set and artificial intelligence that's churning through these decisions and making micro bid adjustments. We're now making hourly bid adjustments, or we have the ability to make hourly bid adjustments using the Amazon marketing stream data. And in making those adjustments, you're not sleeping if you're trying to do that manually. It's just not happening. Taking into account seasonality, taking into account conversion spikes during different times of day, all of those variables are now taken into account into our bidding algorithm and allowing you to, see the hopeful gains and budget optimization and all these things that come from having a really focused advertising strategy at the helm for it.
Absolutely. And I mean, Amazon used to be way worse than it is now. At least now they give you a little bit of information. Like, I'll give you a little bit, and a little bit. And every 6 months, they're giving us a little bit more, but nothing
Yes.
compared to what Teikametrics gives us and the ability to control and bid and do all the things. What do you feel like is a couple of things that are coming on the horizon that make Teikametrics stand out?
Yeah, so really timely that we're having this conversation. Actually, tomorrow for all of our self-service customers, we've had it released internally for a couple of weeks for our internal users and our managed business. But for all customers starting tomorrow, we're releasing a new campaign creation tool. This is going to be a revolutionary way that Teikametrics has tried to do campaign creation over the last several years. And I'm speaking very critically because I felt some of the growing pains of the first attempts at campaign creation back when I was a customer several years ago. And I ended up having to get good at using bulk files and manually creating campaigns because it just wasn't what I needed. This is the first time, both as a customer and an employee, that I can 100% stand behind this campaign creation tool that we're releasing tomorrow on April 4th, 2023, as we record this. It's going to allow the user to control all components of how the campaigns are created, the structure, but the efficiencies are going to be able to do them at scale across your entire catalog if you'd like. There's ways to do it kind of quick and dirty and a couple of clicks, and there's ways to really dig in and have a custom advertising strategy for specific products in your catalog. And so this is rolling out tomorrow for sponsored product keyword campaigns, which is a lot of sellers' bulk of their exposure. And I see it being a game changer, both to clean up maybe some messy advertising structures that you might be inheriting from a former advertising manager. Our new campaign creation tool gives you the ability to launch these new campaigns either in parallel to your existing sponsored product keyword strategy, or if you choose this new kind of cleaned up version that you're adopting with our campaign creation tool, our tool will also pause all of the existing exposures that are currently out there where those exact products live. So we know advertising for 3P sellers is at the SKU level. Our system will pause all of those product ads where those SKUs live in active ads in favor of these new ones. In addition, we're also migrating over the top slice of the best performing keywords while also allowing you to import and copy and paste in a list of keywords that work from your spreadsheets and analysis that you've been doing for years, or your search term reports that you've saved over the years. So we're giving you the ability to have a migrated keyword strategy. And then while turning on these brand new campaigns, you also get 3 really critical levers of control that you used to have to wait for with Teikametrics. You used to have to wait for these campaigns to go live in the channel, start getting some data, and then you would turn on our engine to manage them. Now you can, in our campaign creation tool, you can set the budget, you can turn on our bidding technology and set your ACoS target right from campaign launch. And you can also choose your keyword optimization strategy. So you have 2 choices there. You can choose to manually manage your keywords and migrate them as you wish, or you can choose to turn on our automatic AI recommended keyword engine that will migrate these terms for you for the new campaigns that are starting to get conversions and proving out which keywords are the best performing ones as you launch these ads. So nothing that I said is super revolutionary in the sense of everybody's created campaigns that's familiar with the space. Everybody's had to figure out the best way to migrate and mine keywords. I think what we've created with this tool is a super efficient way to get that process done without having to waste hours hoping you didn't make a mistake with a huge bulk file or worrying about creating redundant campaigns. I think we've solved a lot of those worries and will save sellers a lot of time with the release of this new feature. So that's just one thing, but I went on a big tangent on it because we're all excited about it. It's releasing tomorrow for everyone. So we're all really, really pumped to get this in everyone's hands.
Well, and I love that about y'all too, is that it's kind of up to us if we want to use it or if we want to, accept this new way, or if we want to continue on this way. You have a lot of control. So you can go in, adjust things how you want. If you're running a deal, like, you just have so much control inside. And that's what I love about it, is I can go in and just flip things, and it takes effect really, really quickly too. It's not like a 24-hour delay over for
Right.
whatever you put into Teikametrics or Teikametrics to go over to Amazon.
Agreed. No, and I think that control is key in the sense that people don't want to feel like they've given themselves over to something that they don't have control over. One. Two, my kids like some of those like choose your adventure stories where they get to pick the different route to like choose an outcome of what the story is going to be. And it's really that, right? Like you can choose to adopt all the bells and whistles that we have at your disposal, or you can pick and choose the ones that work best for your workflow or that you're seeing benefits of. Our best advice is run a test, right? Test using our campaign creator for some of the campaigns that you want to launch or you think you're going to be launching soon compared to your other method. And then try to evaluate as best as you can of, time to flight. Like, did these new campaigns start performing better sooner? Or, is my legacy method better? Like, I think it's up to however you choose to adopt. And I urge our self-service customers all the time to, try to control the variables as much as you can, but run a test and see, okay, try this with our system, evaluate the results versus something static or something you're not doing with our system. And then, hopefully that will either be the urge to continue to adopt more of our feature set, or maybe you need to have a mix or a blend where you retain some manual control. And we kind of see that as okay. I think one of the things that I love about our platform and how it's become is it's now a complete ad marketplace management tool. You have so much more control over everything that lives in your ad accounts in our platform. And you can do a ton of things, but at the same time, you don't necessarily have to be successful. But the fact that you can, or that the fact that you can see every keyword and product target that you have listed across all of your campaigns in one aggregated view, and you can take action on them within a matter of clicks, is really powerful. I was always super annoyed working directly with Amazon ads, having to like double click into every campaign and ad group, get to the keywords, and then run some analysis on one ad group. And then I zoom out and I'm like, oh, only 500 more ad groups to go to like actually do this work. Yeah. So what ends up happening when you do that is the squeakiest wheels get the grease, right? Like you're looking at the ones that are causing you the most waste, or you're looking at the ones that are spending the most money. And then everything else that's in the B or C priority list, you kind of hope it does okay and doesn't really get the individual attention. But when you have all of this able to be aggregated in one view, and you can filter off of that and create the different experiences you want, you get a lot more powerful control. And I think that's the direction we're heading overall. Is we exist because of sellers. We're a seller founded and seller driven company. Our CEO and founder was one of the first Amazon marketplace sellers. And he's super passionate about helping sellers stay afloat, stay efficient, stay in business. And a lot of times that support doesn't always exist for sellers. Amazon prides itself on being customer obsessed, which is the end user getting the quickest, fastest product, as cheap as possible. But nobody's really obsessed about sellers one step up that chain. And that's where we come in. And I think it's not just the mom and pop seller selling stuff out of their garage. It's also very established brands that are trying to, pivot the way they're earning revenue, on third-party marketplaces. And so that customer obsession, that seller obsession really drives a lot of our focus. Everyone in this space is trying to create a system of record where you use our system to do all the things. And I feel like that's true, but also not completely real-time feasible, because there's always going to be expertise in different lanes that sellers are going to rely on to get the insights they need to run their business. I think where we're growing is we're staying true to our true north of advertising optimization on the marketplaces, being omni-channel. So wherever you're selling, we want to grow with you and use our platform to maximize the ad exposure, but at the same time, build features that are going to complement that journey, right? So I think a logical extension, for example, of advertising optimization is incorporating inventory insights, right? If you are flush in stock with a product and you know that maybe you're bordering on overstocked, that should dictate what tweaks you need to make in your advertising strategy. And then vice versa. If you're running into an out of stock and you want to avoid having, no traffic on your listing for a period of time, maybe you need to turn down the heat on your advertising strategy. So some of the trends that we're heading towards are being able to control our bidding algorithm with some of those real day inventory goals that you have in your product catalog. So being able to apply some intelligence around the goals of the product set, but then also intelligently knowing when we need to turn the heat up and down on advertising as it relates to inventory. So that's a logical extension of where we're going. We're not saying we're going to build the best inventory management platform on the market. You may see some benefits of using our platform to manage your inventory as compared to another one that you're using, but At the same time, we're trying to make sensical extensions of our product so that you can still maximize that advertising exposure, but then also possibly other aspects of your business can also be managed by Teikametrics in the future. That's kind of the true north and the vision that we're heading towards.
Absolutely. I love that. I do want to say something like every time that we get a client that comes in for just coaching, and normally they've reached that like plateau of we're just doing the same amount or we're coming down a little. We always optimize their account first. So do an audit, optimize their account, get everything the way it should be, and then plug in Teikametrics to do the marketing. And it's just a complete change. Usually it's a little bit like we have a hike ACOS the first month as we're learning what works, what doesn't work, pulling reports, trying to figure out what bidding strategy to do and all of that stuff. But after that, it's tremendous on the amount of income they get off of their ads and their ACOS and their tacos. So you can definitely see the difference in Teikametrics versus when we have it plugged in and when we don't.
Well, and we also advise customers of that same journey of it's going to take our machines some time to figure out where you should be bidding, right? You can't expect that you flip a switch and then there's going to be this overnight success. And for some customers, it is. For some customers, it's that instantaneous. But usually it will take a couple of weeks, up to as much as 30 or 45 days for us to get enough data in-house to then say, okay, here's our heroes, here's where we need to be winning and bidding to get maximum conversion with efficiency. And then here's the situations where we can take some chances, but we don't want to overspend. And then I think where the algorithm really saves sellers a lot is like blind waste, right? Like if you're just blindly spending on targets because you think you need to be showing up for this keyword, or you think you need to be doing this type of advertising against your competitors, our system tries to regulate against that blind waste as much as possible so that if you do get those exposures that, those incremental clicks add up, right? And all of a sudden you have $50 worth of clicks with no sales.
I spent 150, no sales, and then you jump into the ad and it's like you've bid $10 on, 15 different things.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you're bidding on the broad match term for, t-shirt or something like that, and you're showing up against Hanes t-shirts when you're selling custom print t-shirts or something like that. So I think once our engine gets a hold of, what works for your set of products and your advertising exposure, combined with where you can take calculated risks and then also where we can clean up some of those blind risks, it's really about maximizing the opportunities to win with the way our algorithm works. And, there's different strategies that can be applied when you want to be more exposure focused. If you're launching new brands, new products, and you really want to get clicks on your PDPs and you really want to get that exposure, then of course you need to assume some of that waste. But if you're in a lean profitability mode, what works for your business and you just need an engine to optimize that and squeeze some extra juice out of the exposure. I mean, we exist for sellers so that you can stay in business. Our goal is to not get you to necessarily advertise more. It's to advertise better for your business. And if that means you advertise more over time, then that should also mean that you're making more money as a result of that, not just because we're telling you to advertise more. That's not the type of recommendations our system makes.
Right. And every time I have a client come to me and they're like, okay, so what should our marketing budget be? I'm like, let's do it. And it's good to have a marketing budget, but let's also base this off of ACOS and tacos. Let's not say I only want to spend $1,000 because if you're getting a 15% ACOS, why would you not want to spend another $1,000 and another $1,000 and another? So yes, let's give ourselves a budget for all the paperwork and all the things.
Yeah, blank checks are dangerous. Yeah,
yes,
no doubt.
Let's also revisit this every week and and go over it and make sure that we're not cutting ourselves short on also reaching a maximum amount of sales.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you said it perfectly. And I think from our perspective, the data should inform the next action you take. So whether that's gently extending your budgets because you're earning a profitable return on the gains that you're getting from the advertising exposure, or whether that means picking and choosing where we're extending our budgets, right? Like maybe, okay, we trim some of the budget off of our always on campaigns just to keep the exposure on some of those products. But then we see these hero products emerge that are thriving in the advertising exposure. My former CEO at the agency I worked at and the seller account I worked at said, you can spend as much as you want on ads, but if you're not showing me a profitability at this and an ACOS at this, then you're not going to spend that money, right? So it's that the blank check mentality is not realistic, but at the same time, if you're seeing the benefits from it and our system's helping drive that, then of course, you're going to keep trying to drive more sales into your seller account. You'd be silly not to.
Absolutely. Okay, I feel like that's a good place to end it. We'll just end
Yeah.
it with, if you could give anyone that's listening to this one tip, what would you give them
Yeah. I
besides
think
sign up for Teikametrics?
no, yeah, I'm not that much of a shill to say sign up for of course my job is to,
Yes.
bring you in. But at the same time, no, I think the advice is I'm kind of taking myself back into the shoes of how I was 5 years ago, seeking, trying to make the best decision for your business. Um, I would do two things. One, make sure that your decisions aren't stepping on each other's toes. Don't sign up for 3 or 4 different products that are all simultaneously trying to squeeze the best out of your ads, and then there's too many cooks in the kitchen, right? So pick an option to do the type of work that we're talking about today. And my advice would be don't be afraid to test, because you wouldn't be looking for something to do this for you or do this more efficiently if you hadn't maybe seen that you're not capturing all of the potential that's in front of you, right? And so don't be afraid to test, give it time. I would say at least 3, if not, if I was being selfish, 6 months to really see the full benefit of a strategy. But give it a few months to see if it does start to swing that hockey stick in the right direction for you. And whatever system you choose, make sure that it makes sense for your business, both financially and the costs that you're taking on, but then also at the same time, from a control and a strategy standpoint, um, really take these decisions to heart, because what can be gained from that is supreme efficiency once you find a system that you trust, that works, and once you feel comfortable controlling it, then you're sleeping more and you have more hours in the day to do your other aspects of your job, or see your kids, or take a walk, or do whatever you need to do to stay balanced in your life. So
Sleeping
like I
more
said, don't
and
be
better. Yeah, you're
right,
sleeping more and
exactly
better.
right. And that was my whole point in becoming a customer at Teikametrics back in the day, was I was legitimately worried about the amount of money we had exposed without control, and B, I knew I wasn't the smartest guy in the room to be controlling millions of keyword bids at the same time. Like, I was missing opportunities. And so, for me, I knew I needed something. And for us, we approached it as a test. We're like, okay, well, let's see if this works for a few months. And then we were very happy and satisfied customers for 2.5 years. It just, unfortunately, the business failed. But at the same time, it wasn't because of Teikametrics by any means. It was due to market conditions and COVID and a variety of other investments that our business made that were unfortunately poorly timed when the world shut down in 2020. So yeah.
Well, that was beautifully said for anyone that's a business owner, and find people like us. I know whenever I was making all those bid adjustments and everything, and I couldn't sleep at night, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just so stressed out that I'm not being aggressive enough or something. You need those people in your life that actually care enough to be like, okay, we need something else
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that we are doing the best we can for the business. So definitely find people, whether it's companies or not, find people like Jake and I that actually care enough, even though it's not our money. Because I work for clients all the time. It's not my money, but I treat it like my money. Whenever I
No
call into
doubt.
Amazon or I do
Yeah.
anything, I mean, I make that decision based on as if it was my own. I feel like
Well, yeah. And sellers need advocates. I mean, in my opinion, there's no Amazon, at least from the core of it when it first started, if there weren't sellers selling stuff on the channel, right? And so we need people supporting sellers out there. So people like Ashlee, and also companies like ours that do things to try to help sellers stay afloat. That's our number one vision. We have a weekly all hands meeting from our company, and we have a global company. There's people all over the world, and we're all mostly remote. There's some people in certain pockets together, but the first thing we see every one of those all hands is there's one boss, and it's the seller, it's the customer that drives every decision we make, that drives everything that we're doing. And so it's cliche to say, oh, we're customer obsessed, but truly everything that we're doing is in the mindset of trying to help sellers be better, be more efficient. And I don't know, it's good to have those advocates and advocates like yourself to try to make sure that these businesses are able to see gains and also stay afloat, stay in business.
yes, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Jake, for talking to me today. I will leave all of Jake's information, Teikametrics, all of the things in the link and in the show notes so everybody has access to them. And we will see you next time on Bricks and Clicks.
Thanks, Ashley.